What's up guys, Shine yugioh here, and today I'm going to be looking at one of the more forgotten decks that got new support in Supreme Darkness, Swordsoul. I don't think that this deck necessarily will dominate the meta at all, but I do think that maybe at a local or at a regional level, you'll be able to catch people off guard with this deck. It's coming up on about 4 years old now, and it's finally gotten something from Konami. So I'm excited to see if this deck will see any play at all, right? Because we all know how the meta is with Ryziel, and they're like, it's a high-powered format, leaving little room for pet decks. So in Supreme Darkness, we got the brand new Tenyi Spirit Surya, which is basically an extender for when you get hand trapped on Moyi, and it also reads that if you control a worm monster or a face-up non-effect monster, you can special summon the card from hand, and if you use it as synchro material for a worm monster, you get to cheat out a Tenyi Link monster at the cost of 1,000 life points per its Link rating. We also got Tenyi Spirit Mula Adhara, the brand new synchro monster from Supreme Darkness, which if one synchro summon, if you have 2 or more worm monsters in your graveyard or banishment, you get to add 1 field spell from your deck to hand. On the face of non-effect monsters on the field, it can't be targeted or destroyed by opponent's card effects, and it can make a second attack during the battle phase. Eternal Protection of the Tenyi lets you add a Vessel for the Dragon Cycle or a Heavenly Dragon Cycle. Pause to read the other effect. It's not that relevant. We're searching this off of the new Synchro monster, the new Mulad Horror. This is why in the deck list I chose to run 1 copy of Heavenly Dragon Circle and Vessel of the Dragon Cycle, because now the field spell lets us just access them regularly in the normal combo rather than relying on hard drawing them. And this is really because it lets you search for either other engine pieces to extend the combo or for cards like Protos. For the rest of the deck list, it's pretty standard. 3 Moyi, 3 Long Yuan, 2 Taya, 3 Emergence, we've got the 1 Blackout, we've got 1 Protos as well, very key, 3 Ashuna, we've got 3 copies of the new Tenyi Spirit Surya, 2 copies of Adhara, and we've got 2 copies of Vishuddha, 1 copy of Shatana, the Blue Spirit, we've got 1 Eternal Perfection, 1 Heavenly Dragon Circle, 1 Vessel, 3 Ecclesia, basically 3 more names of Moyi or Taya. And for the hand trap count, I decided to pick like 14 non-engines, so 3 Ash, 3 Vela, 3 Nib, 2 Talents, and 3 Imperm, bringing us up to 44 cards, which I think it's worth it to play that extra non-engine. The extra, we have 2 copies of Yugioh, 1 copy of Chengying, 1 copy of Sinister Sovereign, 1 copy of Draco Berserker, 1 copy of the new Mulad Horror, 2 copies of Baxia, 1 copy of Yazi, we've got 1 copy of Chaofeng, very important card here, being able to lock out light, especially in a Fiendsmith dominated format, 2 copies of Monk, 1 copy of Shaman, 1 copy of the Link 4, which is solely by the new Tenyi Spirit, and then 1 copy of SP Little Knight to round out the deck list. Apologies for the transition, by the way. DB keeps crashing, so if you start seeing the transitions, that's why I'm voicing this over. So I'm going to talk more about like what I think the positives are of the deck when it comes to like how it can have a leg to stand on. So I think firstly is the room for non-engine. I think 44 cards with 14 non-engine is fine. Obviously it's not the best, but for a deck like this, which is like rogue tierish, it's pretty good. And also it makes up for it with the Tenyi engine naturally being able to go second as well. I think Arc Nemesis Protoss is also a massive boost to this deck, right? The fact that it's very searchable in this deck with like, especially with the new field spell, adding more layers to the combo and adding more layers to the board, it means that this deck has a better time going first, and being able to call stuff like Dark for Malice or Fire for like Tenpai is really good. I think Chaofeng, moving on, is also a very good card, especially this format where light is a pretty dominant attribute right now, with the Fiendsmith engine being all lights, as well as some of the Ryzeals being lights, and stopping your opponent from activating the effects of those cards can be really key in winning the matchups going first. Going second isn't the worst into those because Apoxia shuffles, so it does play around the protection of Detonator. So I think this deck has a decent shot. And I think some other techs that we can put in for, especially with like the new synchro searching field spells, is stuff like Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Since Ecclesia is a spellcaster, there can be some application. I don't know the combos yet, but I'm sure that someone will come up with them. And also, I think for future formats, Necro Valley. Like, if we get a more graveyard dominant, like, meta deck where, like, they use it like a second hand, I think that could be really good. So, onto the combos now. Our first combo is with Arshuna plus basically either Vishuddha or Adhara, whichever one. So we use Arshuna, we summon it, we link it off into Monk of the Tenyi, we then use the effect of Vishuddha special summon itself. We then use the effect of Arshuna in Graveyard to banish itself in order to special summon a Tenyi from the deck. That being, of course, Adhara. Now that you have a level 1 and a level 7 on board, you get to make the copy of Yugioh, where you'll go Yugioh effect to search. This is where we can bridge into the Swordsoul engine by adding a copy of Swordsoul Emergence. We activate the effect of Swordsoul Emergence. We then search for the copy of Swordsoul of Tyre. It's at the bottom of the deck here. Yeah, and from there we will normal summon the Tyre, use the effect, banishing the emergence out of graveyard to summon the token. We'll then use these two to synchro off into the copy of Boxia. We'll then use Tyre's graveyard effect to send the Moyi from deck to graveyard. And from here, now we can use Boxia's effect, targeting the Moyi and targeting the monk. I skipped a step here by accident. What I should have done was, before you go for the Boxia, you use the Adhara effect, add to hand to Shuna, and that lets you then reveal for the Moyi. But if you have another worm in hand, that step doesn't really matter, but for the sake of this combo, we'll say it does. We'll synchro these two off, and this is when we go into the new Mula Adhara. Using the Mula Adhara effect as Chainlink 1 and Moyi draw as Chainlink 2, for purposes of this, the random draw will just be just a hand trap, just so that it doesn't like mess with the combo or anything. So yeah, I chose an Ash. And then we search the Eternal Perfection of the Tenyi. We then use Eternal Perfection effect, this time searching for Heavenly Dragon Circle. We then use the effect of Heavenly Dragon Circle, tributing off the Boxia, using it to search from deck to hand a copy of the Arch Nemesis Protoss. Yeah, it's him, the Floodgate himself, right? We use that. We banish the 3 different attributes out of our graveyard, me using water, wind, and the light of Boxia. And then just using the effect just to cool dark. This especially is just a like 2-card combo to get negate on board and Protoss. Onto the next combo, it's the same thing, except this time we need to use Adhara, because this time we're special summoning Ashuna, normaling Adhara, using these two into the copy of Tenyi Spirit Mula Adhara, activating its effect. And then we use this to search the field spell. And then after using the field spell to search for, this time though, it's not going to be the Heavenly Dragon Circle. Instead, we search for Vessel, because one of the cool things about the new Synchro is that it's able to be linked off for the Link 1 copy of Monk of the Tenyi. And so now that we have a non-effect monster on the field, we get to activate the effect of Vessel of the Dragon Cycle, sorry. And that lets us send from deck to graveyard once it loads. Right. It lets us send from deck to graveyard the copy of Taya, and it lets us add to hand a copy of Tenyi Spirit Shathana. We then get to use the effect of Shathana to special summon itself, and then the next step is using Ashuna's graveyard effect to summon out a copy of the brand new Tenyi Spirit Surya. From here, we use Tenyi Spirit Surya and the blue Tenyi Spirit Shathana. We synchro those off into the copy of Arxia. We then use the effect of the brand new Tenyi Spirit, and we end up paying 4k here. I pay it in 2k increments for some reason here. Ignore that. We're here to summon out the new addition to the deck with the brand new support, the Link 4 Tenyi Spirit Sahasrara. I butchered that name, I apologize. We then use the effect of Barxia for this really cool interaction where we pop the Monk of the Tenyi so that we can summon out the copy of Taya. And because we destroyed a non-effect monster, we get to use the effect of Shathana here to revive back the Monk of the Tenyi we just destroyed with the Barxia. From here, we can use both the Monk of the Tenyi and the copy of Barxia, linking these both off into the copy of Shaman of the Tenyi. Then, using the effect of Swordsoul of Taya, we can then banish the copy of the Surya, and we use it to summon out a token. And from here, we use the token plus the copy of Taya, linking these two off. Synchroing these two off into the copy of Yugioh. Yugioh being Chainlink 1 and the Taya being Chainlink 2. We send the copy of Moyi with Taya, and then we use the effect of the Kaching to search the copy of Longyuan. And then we go and we add to hand okay, so here we need a discard for Shaman, and so I'm just adding a non-injured here, this time being talents, because you're going to have 5 cards in hand, so you'll have a discard. We then use the effect of Moyi reveal Longyuan. You've clearly seen this before. Then we use these two, synchro off into a copy of Draco Berserker. Right, and that gives us an additional draw to make up for the discard with Shaman of the Tenyi. Right, and because it's a combo guide, we don't want to really do anything that would affect the combo at all. We're just going to add a non-engine, that being the Nibiru. We then are going to use the effect of Tenyi Spirit Adhara to banish itself so that we can add to hand a copy of the Tenyi Spirit, of just any worm, this one being Tenyi Spirit Ashuna, because we want to have that back in the graveyard to use for the next turn. We then activate the effect of Tenyi Spirit Longyuan. Right, now with our Ashuna in hand, we can use that as the discard in order to summon it and summon out the token. And then we use these two to make Sinister Sovereign, and that is the combo. We want to do the 1200 burn damage, but other than that, it's a pretty big board, having like lots of good interactions. And with the Tenyi Spirit Sahara, like it will summon out a token so that we have follow up with the Tenyis.